Uh-oh. Questions. If you had it your way, what would be your next 3 potential opponents? Great question.
Great question. Next 3 opponents, not in any order. I would have to do Katie, Amanda, and Caroline Dubois.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The new kid on the block. What is it about Dubois? You just want to quiet the naysayers, or you see something in her that you think will make a beautiful fight?
She a little pup, and you know what I'm saying. She needs to be trained. So
Ooh.
I wanna let her know that one thing about it. I love the hunger as a young pup coming in the game, but one thing about it, don't chew off more than you can. And I just feel like she's been very disrespectful lately, and I don't like that disrespect, because the last person that was disrespectful got beat and got her belts took. So yeah, just sometimes you gotta show them. Sometimes you gotta pop out and show them. So yeah, she would be a great fight at 35. Even old girl from Matchroom, Beatrice.
You want Beatrice?
We want them all. I told y'all, I'm not ducking nobody.
Okay.
We want them all. Beatrice, Caroline, Amanda, Katie. Yeah. I mean, these fights make sense at the weight class.
So Alicia has formulated a proverbial hit list of names that she would like to fight, some more realistic than others, Caroline Dubois being one among them, and that's the one we're going to lead with.
Caroline.
Truth, she mentioned just about everybody in the lightweight division, everybody that matters for the future of Alicia Baumgardner, but the Caroline Dubois fight is becoming more and more of a conversation due to the back and forth they had on social media not that long ago, based on that thumbnail I drew up of Clarissa Shields having an exceptionally big mouth. Because she's a big mouth, Caroline took offense on behalf of Clarissa, who she views as a mentor, which is likely why she chimed in. And for that, Alicia interpreted the whole thing as being disrespectful. She considers Caroline a young pup that's barking up the wrong tree, biting off more than she can chew, other similes and colloquialisms. She wants to punch her in the mouth, teach her a lesson. So in a Baumgardner versus Dubois fight, presumably at 135 pounds after Alicia moves up, since there's no further reason to stay in the super featherweight division, there aren't any super fights there. If and when Alicia moves up, Caroline would be the defending champion, but make no mistake, Alicia would still be the A-side. She is the more established name, the more established fighter, and there is that much more money behind her than there is behind Caroline. So if you're talking about Baumgardner versus Dubois, you're talking about an MVP show, not a boxer show. All boxer has to do is take their cut and send Caroline over. Because that's going to be an MVP show, not a boxer show, and that's likely going to be in the United States, not the United Kingdom. As far as the fight itself, I really do think Caroline Dubois is getting ahead of herself, thinking she's ready for somebody like Alicia Baumgardner when the best fighter she's fought so far is Baumgardner Shin. Spent enough time ducking that Beatrice Ferreira fight, and the best fighter you fought is Baumgardner Shin, who made you look bad, by the way. Caroline Dubois was noticeably exhausted and running on fumes in the latter stages of that fight as Baumgardner Shin was teeing off. And this is the same Caroline Dubois that thinks she's ready for Alicia Baumgardner. I won't begrudge her ambition, but I don't think she's ready.
Who's the best mover that she's fought? The best boxer? The best banger? The biggest puncher?
She hasn't fought someone who brings to the table all the different things that Alicia Baumgardner brings to the table. So the sooner that fight happens, the more it favors Alicia on experience and ability. While time is on Caroline Dubois' side, she is some years younger than Alicia Baumgardner. She's not so young that Alicia is in danger of getting over the hill overnight.
She's only 30 years old.
Alicia is very much in her prime and will be for the foreseeable future, to where if this fight happens any time inside of the next 2 years, I think Alicia wins, I do. I think Carolyn needs a lot more experience than what she has right now.
Oh.
Well, Carolyn's used to having it all her way against opponents that don't have the maneuvering capability or the punching power, the athleticism, and explosiveness of an Alicia Baumgardner, to where if you come barreling forward like you did Jessica Kamara, like you did
Like she's done any of those other girls that she's fought.
Alicia Baumgardner has the speed, power, and counters to make Caroline Dubois think twice, make her think more than she's ever had to.
Never been in with anybody like this.
And I don't think Alicia is going to stay much longer in the super featherweight division beyond the upcoming Jennifer Miranda fight on the undercard of Taylor versus Serrano 3. She may move up right after that. So this fight is a distinct possibility for the not-so-distant future, to where if they do it this year, before the year is out, I absolutely think Alicia wins.
I thought she was going to dangle that carrot in front of Caroline Dubois for a while, because it's not like Caroline deserves the fight, but because she's got a belt and because she's up there.
It's a right place, right time kind of deal.
Both fighters have speed and power, both fighters have athleticism, but only one of them brings experience to the table. That's Alicia.
Elsewhere in the world of boxing, in men's lightweight news, according to veteran boxing scribe Abraham Gonzalez, for those looking to make plans for Tank vs. Roach II on June 21st in Vegas, that was spread around. Don't make them. The fight will not be in June, from what I've been told. This may be already out there, but just wanted to post that update, to which a Twitter user that goes by the name Hassan said, "I heard it's in July now." Abraham responded by saying, "We should know something within the next couple of weeks. Why would they have pushed the fight date back when, for as long as I can remember, June 21st was the proposed fight date?" According to Boxing Insider Rick Glacier, he says PBC has that money shortage showing more and more. Another PBC postponement. And need we say possible cancellation? Let's hope that this fight happens. It's a damn good one.
It's one of the few fights the PBC can put on, all on their own, without any outside involvement, that is actually worth some money. Now, the first one didn't do very much. Somewhere in between 160 to 260, those are the numbers that are out there, but still, under 300,000.
I believe it was Mike Kopinger who once said, the earmark for a fight, and whether or not it should be on pay-per-view, is whether or not it can bring in a minimum of 300,000 buys. And I happen to agree with that sentiment, that if you can't at least bring in that, should it even cost $80 to watch?
The bar has been lowered for what passes as a pay-per-view and what passes as a box office attraction when people are celebrating piss-poor numbers like Gervante's. If those numbers were as good as his fans make them out to be, then Showtime would probably still be in boxing.
Since he boxed on that platform exclusively, and the majority of his pay-per-views happened there, that if those numbers were as robust and these events were as successful as some would have you believe, then Showtime would probably still be in boxing. But because they're not, that communicates the opposite.
Now this.
The Lamont Roach fight has been pushed back. Why exactly, we don't know. Rick Glacier cites money woes, that the well is drying up over there, and that's what this is. His guess is just as good as yours, and your guess is just as good as mine. All subject to speculation. What isn't subject to speculation is that Gervonta Davis needs this rematch, perhaps more than Lamont Roach. This has fast become his claim to fame, and so many people are already convinced that he was robbed of the victory in the first fight that he's not the one that needs the rematch. It's Gervonta to regain his aura and the air that he had about him. He has to prove he can do in the second fight what he didn't do in the first. Not just beat Lamont Roach, but knock him out.
Now for me, the damage is done, and the damage is irreversible, because it shouldn't take you 2 fights to get 1 win over Lamont Roach. Jamel Herring didn't need 2 fights. Why do you? You're supposed to be a tank. You're supposed to be a generational talent, a knockout merchant.
If you were who they say you are, you wouldn't have needed to bend the rules that much just to get a goddamn draw that we all know is actually a loss. If you were who they say you are, you wouldn't need 2 fights for 1 win over a guy that you brought up from 130 pounds. That if you were who they say you are, we wouldn't even be here right now.
The worst thing that could happen to Gervonta Davis is this fight not happening at all. And that is a possibility that Rick Glacier is entertaining. What if the fight gets canceled outright? Like I said, Lamont Roach doesn't need a rematch because to a lot of people, he already won. And he can parlay that fight into another payday with another fighter. Say, Shakur Stevenson, if he beats William Zepeda in what could be a big Saudi show for a lot of money.
Hell, I think Lamont Roach would make more money boxing Shakur Stevenson in Saudi than boxing Gervonta in America, let's be honest. Gervonta Davis isn't paying these guys life-altering money. You think he paid Rolly life-altering money? Isaac?
Mario?
Worst case scenario, this fight doesn't happen. This fight doesn't happen at all, and Gervonta doesn't get the chance to redeem himself. Then some other fighter, say a Shakur Stevenson, fights that same Lamont Roach, then beats him easy.
Hardcore boxing fans know that triangle theories don't work, but casuals don't know what a triangle theory is. All they're gonna know is some other fighter came along and beat Lamont easy, where Gervonta had to bend the rules more than once.
Take a knee, go life or death with the guy, and all he could get was a draw. He needed a second fight to get a win, and if something happens to that second fight, to where it don't go down, Gervonta stays in that hole. His reputation stays damaged.
Needs that rematch.
There was a plan in place to put Gervonta Davis in the ring with Jake Paul at a prescribed weight of, I don't know, for later on in the year. But that's when Gervonta Davis' stock was more on the up and up than it is now. You go do a circus fight with Jake without settling this first?
It's gonna look like you're running. It's gonna look like you're the one that pulled the plug on the rematch. And you wanna know why?
Why?
It's because you spent all those years telling everybody you're the face of boxing. You're the A-side. You're the A-side to anybody at or around these weights. So if you're the A-side, why wouldn't the fight happen?
It's not on Lamont Roach to pay for it. It's not on Lamont Roach to make it happen. It's on you to make it happen because you're the A-side.
So that if you then go box a social media influencer, instead of settling up with Lamont, it's gonna look like you're running from Lamont.
And it was always going to be this way for Gervonta Davis. No, I'm no Monday morning quarterback. I did not forecast that Lamont Roach specifically would be the one that exposes him, so much as that at some point he's going to go in there with another fighter that he's widely favored to beat. He's going to look past him.
And he's gonna look shit.
Now that may seem like a generic forecast, but that's the way it happens for fighters like Gervonta. Fighters who stay on easy street for too long and end up losing their readiness, their sharpness, their reflexes. They've grown comfortable with the notion that the victory is guaranteed, not realizing, no, it isn't.
No.
Take your eyes off the ball and a goddamn gatekeeper might beat you.
It's that false sense of security that creative matchmaking breeds. You start thinking they're all gonna be easy ones. The guy on the other side of the ring, for him, this is a lifetime opportunity. This is his chance at the big time.
Guy who's hungry, where you're thinking, it's just a show. It's not a goddamn fight.
You didn't train like it was a goddamn fight. You didn't go into it with the mentality that this guy might beat me because all the guys they pick for you,
They're all supposed to be easy, and you take them all for granted until one shows up that won't lay down.
Now, Boxing Scene recently posted a list of the 6 highest earning boxers in all of boxing, and Gervonta Davis's name wasn't there. At number 1, they've got Tyson Fury, all of his earnings for the 2 Usyk fights.
Usyk's at number 2, Canelo Alvarez is at number 3, which is still impressive because Canelo's there without any Saudi involvement, without any Saudi money. He's there off of what he generates alone. So just imagine what his earnings are going to be now that he's in bed with Turkey, now that he is boxing in Saudi. At number 3 is Canelo, at number 4 is Anthony Joshua, at number 5 is Jake Paul, which is impressive in its own way because he, like Canelo Alvarez, is only there based on what he generates, without any big Saudi involvement, any big Saudi paydays. And the same is true for Naoya Inoue, who comes in at number 6. And that's really impressive because super bantamweights are not often on lists like this one. In a very general sense, super bantamweights don't generate but so much.
Never enough to make a Forbes list or a Sportico list. Never enough to be elbow to elbow with the top earning boxers in the sport. So the fact that Inoue is even there, and he's only there based on what he generates in Japan, that's impressive. And what's even more impressive is he stands to make more than that. Because he, like Canelo, is now in bed with Turkey. Who you don't see there is the supposed face of boxing some Americans would have you believe usurped Canelo for that spot.
Gervonta. Where is Gervonta? If all the stuff they've been saying for years about him is true, why is he not there? Why isn't his name on any of these lists?
The only time Gervonta Davis has graced one of these lists for his earnings was the year after he fought Ryan Garcia, because that pay-per-view actually sold 1 million, but that's the only time that's ever happened for Gervonta, and the rest of the time, he's not on lists like this one.
Especially not after last year, when he only fought once last year, and that was the Frank Martin fight. That didn't sell anything, and I told you it wouldn't sell anything, so I'm not surprised that he's not on this list now. Now, he's already fought once this year, but the Lamont Roach rematch has been postponed, and you have to wonder how that affects his psychology. People running around saying the things that they're saying at a time when he needs redemption, but also at a time when he's contemplating retirement. Don't leave that part out, that if Gervonta Davis has it his way, this may be his final year in the sport of boxing. That's what he said.
And that doesn't sound like a motivated fighter, does it? A guy who's thinking about hanging them up.
We've spent enough time entertaining the possibility that the rematch may get canceled. But what if it doesn't? What if it happens? The question is, can Gervonta Davis right those wrongs? Because he was thinking about walking away before the Lamont Roach fight. What happened in that fight might push him further out the door.
Psychologically.
What if he sat around telling himself that he doesn't have it anymore, like Teofimo once did? What if Gervonta Davis is now thinking that because he could not dispatch Lamont Roach like he dispatched all those other guys?
Paulie Malignaggi said that there's a bitch in him, and I happen to agree with that. I think that, maybe physically he's kind of strong, but psychologically, he is very weak
and vulnerable right now.
We will see if the rematch actually happens now that it's been pushed back, because Gervonta Davis desperately needs it.